Welcome back to the studio. Today we're going to be working on block number 5 of Zen Garden, and I have to tell you, I've loved gardening all of my life, but this kind of gardening is more my style right now. Getting out and bending down in the garden is getting a little bit harder as I get older, and also I'm not a big fan of the heat anymore, so I still enjoy the flowers, but I don't enjoy the heat. These are some of the blocks that we have finished so far, and these are blocks 1 through 4. We even have some beautiful butterflies in here. So today we're going to be working on block number 5. So I have the package here for block 5, and I have my background block here for block 5 as well. So I'll put these aside. All of our packages have the fabric already pre-selected. All of these pieces are laser cut and pre-fused with Steam Seam 2. So the process is pretty easy. It's a peel, place, and press process. So what that means is all you have to do is peel the paper backing off of the back, place the applique piece in its position, and then press it in place when you've got it where you want it. So it's a very easy process. Even kids could do it with you. And it has a full-size placement pattern in there as well, as you will see. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pattern out. The first thing I always like to do is just press the paper pattern just to get the creases out. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I like to organize my pieces. But there's not that many pieces in each of these blocks, so it goes pretty quick. But I will pull you in a little bit closer just so you can see what my little chubby fingers are doing. I've pulled out a few pieces out of the package. This is our top cover sheet. It is a color cover sheet that could be used as a color guide. You can see that there are several circles on here that are very similar in size. So this is very helpful in helping you place the circles in the right place. Of course, if you placed them in a different location, it's not going to really harm anything, but it is helpful if you want to try and get them in the same place they were on the pattern. So I always keep that handy because sometimes that really helps me. There's also a full instruction sheet repeated in every single one of the blocks in the kit, and it just goes over the basic steps on how to do the peel, place, and press process. Also, what I do use this for is just to keep my paper backing on until I can get those over to the garbage, because the paper backings have a little bit of stickiness on them, and sometimes if they fall on the floor with the sticky side down, they're a little bit harder to sweep up. So I just keep them on here, and that gives me a nice way to get them to the garbage can without floating all over the floor. And then this is our full-size paper pattern, and you can see we have some creases in here, and I always like to use my dry iron, and I just want to get out those creases so that that doesn't translate into the misplacement of any of my pattern pieces. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to give my little pattern, my background fabric, a little bit of a fresh press because it's been sitting aside for quite a few months. And now I could join the two together. Now I'm going to pause for a minute so I can get the light box out. I can see this fine here in the studio, but I want to make absolutely sure that you could see it as well. Before I do that, I'm just going to show you we have all of our applique pieces here, and I'm going to pull those out and just sort them into similar piece sizes or shapes, so that it makes it a little bit easier to pick them up as we go. So I'm going to put over little paisley pieces in one place, all of our circles together, and this just makes it a little bit easier to grab the pieces as we go. So now I just need to grab my light box and we can get started. I think the light box makes it a lot easier for you to see at home. Also, just one of the things here, you can see where this particular paisley piece has a dotted line, and that indicates that this piece is underneath this one. So whenever you see a dotted line, that just indicates which piece is layered underneath something else. And on another thing you can keep in mind is sometimes when you have a piece where now I don't see a shape. Looks like I can't find one of my pieces. Anyway, I'll just keep going. Sometimes when you have a compound piece, like one piece goes over another, and you don't think you're going to be able to see it through all three layers, like the backing, the circle, and then another circle, what you could do is just place the circle without the background and then put the two pieces on top. So I know I've got, from the picture, I have a green with a purple on top, so I could just put the green here and then peel the purple backing off. And then I can put the pattern back on. And I know that when I put this piece in place, that the purple circle's in place also. So that's just an easy way to do some of the compound circles. Okay, I'm trying to see where to start. The dark blue, oh, here it is. That's what I couldn't find. It had slid underneath my light box. The thing that we liked so much about this Steam 2 is it sticks on the fabric. Even if you picked this block up and carried it around the room, the block pieces, the applique pieces, would stay in place until you got them where you needed them. I think it's funny, these pieces, I keep losing the pieces on the table, but I'm just going to have faith and keep moving forward. I'll do all the ones I can find. That's usually what I do. I treat it like we do a puzzle. We always try and find the corners first, and then we do the edges, and then we work center. Basically what we're doing, we're eliminating pieces and making it easier to sort through what's left on the table. So I find the ones that pop out to me first, and then it's easier for me to see what's left. Some of them are not showing up as well on my black table, so it'll make it a little bit easier when I get those off, the rest of them off. This is a very easy process, and really about any age group could help you at some way with this project. If you had really young kids, they could just use it as puzzle pieces and just place the shapes on the paper background, and they could pretend it's a puzzle. If they're a little bit older, they may actually be able to peel the paper off and place them on the fabric itself. And I suppose if they were even older yet, it might be possible for them to even do the ironing or the pressing. You can see in real time, though, that this pretty much is a pretty quick process. If you had a group together, you could do a whole project with people working on one block by themselves, and you could have a group project made for somebody very quickly. If I can't find my little green, I'm not going to be able to do my dots either. But I have faith. If you ever find a kit and you're missing one of the pieces, all you have to do is email support@urbanelements.com and we can make sure we get that missing piece to you. I'll be glad to get this one up as well. This will be another one that will be really nice to hang in the studio for spring and summer. Now I'm going to see where, there it is. I had two pieces hidden under my light box. So you can see in real time just how quickly these blocks can go together, and it makes a really fun project that you could do with somebody. Then if you gift it to them as well, it makes a really nice memento. They remember also making the quilt or the project with you, and they get to keep it as memory. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the light box at this phase, because now all we have to do is fuse this in place and this block is finished. So I'll swap out my light box for my Teflon pressing sheet and we can get to the next step. Our fusible backing is Steam-A-Seam 2, and Steam-A-Seam 2, as the name implies, does require a steam component. I personally don't put water in my iron because regardless of the price of the iron, at some point they always leak. So I just use water in spray bottle, and so I'm just going to go ahead and moisten the fabric with some water, and I've got the Teflon pressing sheet below the block, and I'm going to close this up, and I've got it on top as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let the iron do some work, and I have to give the iron time enough to go through the top layer of the Teflon pressing sheet and then down through each layer of the applique. So if there's a couple pieces or layers, it has to go through the Teflon pressing sheet, applique, fusible, and then the background. And we have to give that iron time for that moisture to activate the fusible and bond. And depending on the heat of the iron and your ambient temperature and your heat setting, the timing is going to be a little different for everybody, so I can't give you an exact time on how long that would take. Generally though, if you are getting any kind of gumming on a needle when you're doing any kind of needle work after you fuse, that's an indication that you have not fused long enough. The most common issue with Steam-A-Seam 2 is people do not fuse long enough at this phase. Often people think that they can overfuse the product and the Steam-A-Seam 2 will evaporate, and that is not the case. What I will do also when I'm done fusing this block, I will turn this block over and re-moisten it again from the back side, and I will go ahead and re-iron it from the bottom up so that I make sure that I've totally activated all of that fusible web, because again, this is the phase, this is the step where I can activate that fusible. We don't want to find out when we're trying to quilt this that we haven't activated the fusible fully. So we want to really take our time and make sure that we fully activated that Steam-A-Seam 2. I also really like the Teflon pressing sheet because the Teflon pressing sheet creates a barrier between my project and the iron. So that keeps any fusible web from transferring to my iron, but it also prevents anything from the surface of my sole plate from transferring onto my applique or my background. So either way you look at it, I'm keeping a clean project. So as I said, I've flipped the whole thing over, and now I'm just going to give another go at it, and I'm going to do the whole thing again from the back. Now I'm not going to make you watch this time, but I'm going to show you back when I've got the block finished. In lightning speed, we got block number 5 done. And so that's going to be a wrap for that one. These go really quick, so that's why it makes a fun project that you could do really even as like a group party night. I know sometimes people like to get together and have a glass of wine and do like an art project, a painting project. I've even seen some small shops in my particular town. We have one up on the square, and people will go and have wine and they'll do a particular type of painting. But certainly a group of people could get together and do blocks like this. They could have a whole quilt block or set done, and then somebody could assemble the pieces of blocks together. But you could see just how quickly it goes. Even if you were drinking wine, I think you could follow the instructions enough to get the blocks done. But we're done with block number 5. I think we've got 7 more to go. And these will just keep rapidly going until we have them all done, and we can have this ready for spring. But I'm glad you joined me today, and I look forward to seeing you here in the studio again next time. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of each other.